Imagine living the perfect life: successful career, a loving spouse, and a beautiful family. For Lucas, that was his reality, until the unthinkable happened. His wife, Isabella, the woman he trusted more than anyone, had been secretly having an affair with her powerful boss, Luke. Everything he believed in was shattered in an instant. But instead of confronting the betrayal in the heat of the moment, Lucas decided to bide his time, gathering cold, hard evidence. What he didn't know was that his path to revenge would not only expose the truth, but would leave a trail of destruction that no one could escape. As he uncovered the truth, the stakes grew higher, and the consequences were more devastating than anyone could have imagined. Would Lucas find peace, or would revenge consume him? Stick around to find out how this story unfolds, and what happens when betrayal leads to a master plan. Welcome to my channel, where every story comes to life. Dive into captivating narratives that spark your imagination. Let's start today with a new narrative. Meet Lucas Dawson, a 38-year-old entrepreneur who had lived in the bustling city of Riverside for the past decade. Lucas had been building his business and his life with his wife Sophia, who was 34 and worked as a high-powered marketing executive. Together they had 2 young children, a boy and a girl. From the outside looking in, they had the perfect life. Their friends often commented on how lucky they were, how strong their marriage seemed, and how nothing could come between them. But Lucas began noticing subtle changes over the past 6 months. Sophia was more distant, often lost in thought, and more attached to her phone than usual. She'd tell him about work events, late-night meetings, and the occasional girls' night out, which he trusted at first. But the way she'd smile down at her phone, the texts she never shared, and the increase in her work obligations gnawed at Lucas's intuition. Still, Lucas didn't want to jump to conclusions. His friends told him that marriages go through phases, that the demands of work and kids can make things feel distant at times. But late at night, when Sophia was sleeping beside him, he'd lie awake wondering if there was more to her behavior than just stress. The tipping point came when Sophia's boss, David Hayes, a 40-year-old tech CEO, invited them both to an exclusive networking event at his luxurious penthouse in downtown Riverside. David was the type of man who exuded confidence and power, always well-dressed with a smirk that never sat well with Lucas. He was successful, charismatic, and seemed to have the perfect life, much like Lucas. But there was something about the way David looked at Sophia, the way his hand lingered just a little too long on her shoulder when they greeted each other. Lucas brushed it off. After all, what kind of man would invite a couple to a party if he was having an affair with the wife? Yet, a small nagging voice told him to stay vigilant. At the party, Lucas and Sophia arrived at David's penthouse, which boasted sweeping views of the city skyline. The space was filled with well-dressed professionals, clinking glasses of champagne and a jazz band playing in the background. Sophia looked stunning in a sleek black dress, her makeup flawless, her smile radiant. Lucas couldn't help but feel proud to have her by his side, but that nagging feeling still lingered. As the night progressed, Sophia mingled effortlessly, catching up with co-workers including David, who was his usual charming self. Lucas kept a close eye on them, but nothing seemed out of the ordinary. That was until about an hour into the party when Sophia excused herself, saying she needed to catch up with a friend in a quieter part of the penthouse. Lucas nodded, not wanting to appear suspicious. But this time, he couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Instead of following her immediately, Lucas decided to give her a bit of space. He mingled with a few guests, trying to distract himself from the growing suspicion. But after 15 minutes, curiosity got the best of him. He excused himself from a conversation, quietly slipping away from the crowded living room and wandering through the halls of David's sprawling penthouse. Eventually, Lucas made his way to a dimly lit back garden area, secluded from the main party. There, in the soft glow of the garden lights, he froze as he overheard voices. He immediately recognized one as David's, smooth, cocky, and slightly tipsy. The other voice belonged to a man Lucas didn't recognize. But what caught his attention was the conversation. "I don't know how she does it, man," David said, laughing. "Sophia can slip out of her husband's arms and into mine like it's nothing. Last weekend was insane. We met up at that hotel near the waterfront. You wouldn't believe what happened." Lucas's breath caught in his throat. Did he hear that correctly? He moved closer, careful not to make a sound. His heart pounded in his chest as he listened in disbelief. "Does her husband know anything? I mean, you're playing with fire here, man," the other voice said. "Nah," David replied confidently. "Lucas is too busy with his business to even notice. And besides, Sophia knows how to keep secrets. She's smarter than most women I've been with." Lucas's hands trembled. His worst fears were being confirmed right before his ears. His wife, the woman he trusted above all others, was having an affair with her boss. And the way David spoke about her, as if she were just another conquest in his string of affairs, filled Lucas with rage, but he wasn't the type to confront anyone in the heat of the moment. No, he would be smart about this. Lucas stayed hidden, listening for as long as he could. He learned that their affair had been going on for nearly 6 months, with secret hotel meetings, late-night phone calls, and business trips that were really just excuses for their rendezvous. By the time Lucas slipped away from the garden, he had heard enough. That night he returned home with Sophia, acting as if nothing had changed. He smiled, laughed, and made small talk, all the while his mind spinning with a plan. He wasn't going to confront her right away. He needed evidence. Cold, hard proof. And so, over the next few days, Lucas became a different man. He became strategic, careful, and methodical in his approach. He installed tracking apps on Sophia's phone without her knowing, hacked into her email accounts, and even hired a private investigator. Over the next 2 weeks, he gathered everything he needed. Text messages between her and David, photos of them at hotels, and phone records that confirmed what he had overheard at the party. With each piece of evidence that came in, Lucas's heart broke a little more, but his resolve grew stronger. He wasn't going to just confront her. He was going to make sure that when the truth came to light, it would be unforgiving. A month after the first party, David threw another event, and this time, Lucas knew it would be the perfect setting for his revenge. This party was bigger, with even more high-profile guests in attendance. Lucas arrived with Sophia, playing the role of the doting husband, while she remained blissfully unaware of what was about to happen. Halfway through the night, Lucas excused himself from a conversation, telling Sophia he was going to make a toast. She smiled at him, completely unaware of the storm that was about to hit. As Lucas took the microphone, the room grew quiet, all eyes on him. Sophia stood beside David, her smile faltering slightly, as Lucas's gaze locked onto hers. "I'd like to make a toast to my incredible wife, Sophia," he began, his voice calm and measured. "For 10 years, we've shared our lives, built a family, and created memories I thought would last forever." The room was silent, the air thick with tension as Lucas continued. "But sometimes life surprises you. Sometimes the people you trust the most turn out to have secrets they keep hidden." Sophia's face turned pale. Her eyes widened in shock. She tried to step forward, but Lucas held up a hand, stopping her in her tracks. "And tonight, in front of all of you, I'd like to share one of those secrets." With the press of a button, the large projector screen behind him lit up with images. The room gasped as pictures of Sophia and David appeared, photos of them sneaking into hotels, texts exchanged between them, even audio recordings of their late-night calls. Lucas had left no stone unturned. Sophia stood frozen, her face ashen, while David tried to make a quick exit, but the crowd had already turned on them. Lucas looked directly at them, his voice calm, but with an edge of finality. In the end, secrets never stay hidden for long, and now everyone knows the truth. The fallout was swift and brutal. Within days, Lucas had filed for divorce, secured full custody of the kids, and ensured that David's reputation was ruined. The affair became public knowledge, and David was forced to resign from his company amidst the scandal. As for Sophia, she lost everything: her marriage, her standing in the community, and the trust of everyone around her. Lucas, meanwhile, found a sense of peace. He had rebuilt his life from the ashes of betrayal, stronger than ever. In the end, the best revenge wasn't just exposing the truth. It was reclaiming his happiness. As the months passed, Lucas found a new sense of clarity and peace. His life was slowly returning to normal, but the scars of betrayal lingered. The divorce proceedings had been messy, and though he had won full custody of his children, it wasn't without heartache. His daughter, Emma, and son, Nathan, struggled with the changes, but Lucas did his best to reassure them that everything would be okay. The public exposure of Isabella's affair had shattered the community's trust in her, and the once proud marketing executive became a shadow of her former self. Her career had come to a halt after the scandal, and she was left to deal with the fallout of her actions. Luke's life was no better. His reputation as a successful tech CEO was ruined, and after resigning from his position at the company, he was forced to start over. His ego had been bruised, and he found himself scrambling to salvage what remained of his professional life. But as for Lucas, he was finally free. He had reclaimed control over his own destiny. The experience, though painful, had forged him into a stronger, more determined person. With the support of his children and a few close friends, Lucas began to rebuild his life, taking his business to new heights and rekindling old passions that he had once neglected. He focused on the things that truly mattered: his family, his happiness, and his future. One evening, while watching his kids play in the yard, Lucas couldn't help but smile. He had been through hell, but he had emerged victorious. His life was his own again. Well, there you have it. An unforgettable journey of betrayal, strategy, and ultimate revenge. Lucas showed us that sometimes the best way to reclaim your life is by turning the tables and making sure the truth comes out, no matter the cost. If you enjoyed this roller coaster of emotions, don't forget to like, share, and comment below with your thoughts. What would you have done in Lucas's shoes? We'd love to hear from you. And if you're hungry for more intense stories like this one, make sure to subscribe and hit that bell icon so you never miss an episode of Twisted Tales. See you next time, where the stories are as unpredictable as life itself.